What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with DFS, and in today's video, going over Week 14 GPP plays. So these are tournament plays. These are guys that are going to be lower owned, but I do want to target them just because of the upside / potential that they have, or the price just is kind of interesting. So starting it off, Matt Stafford, 6,900 on the road against Arizona. Arizona dealing with some injuries offensively, defensively. This should be a good game for the Rams to score a lot of points. Division game, Rams still, they're going to battle the rest of the season for that number 1 seed. So getting that bye week is crucial, especially when you have an older quarterback like Matt Stafford. So I think the Rams are going to do really well in this game. It's just are they going to run the ball, right? Is Corn going to be good? Is Kyron going to be good? We've seen some really good games out of Stafford to where the price tag of 6,900 is hard to pay off for a quarterback like Stafford. Like, he's got to throw 250 and 3 touchdowns for it to truly hit, because he is not going to get any rushing upside. Any. So everything is through the air. Luckily for him this season, he has Devontae Adams, who is a touchdown machine. The connection is really good. So for that, I do like Matt Stafford. Like I said, I just like the Rams against a very banged up just team in general in Arizona. Lamar at 6,700, it's Lamar Jackson, right? Whatever injury he's dealing with is obviously affecting him. Baltimore, realistically, that game against Cincy, he should have had 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns add you, 8 points, so he's at 16, 17. It's not as bad. But the main thing is the rushing. We haven't seen the huge Lamar rush game since the game against Buffalo. Like, this was pretty much prime Lamar. This is a stat line you were looking consistently for Lamar. But he's had an injury, and it seems like the injury is still bothering him. But for this matchup against Pittsburgh, I'm okay with it. It's Lamar. It's a division game. They're at home. I'm okay with it. He's going to be lower owned. That's why I like it. Continue to go down. Jordan Love is interesting to me because as a Bears fan, it's hard to talk bad about my defense, but Bears don't get a whole lot of pressure. What they do is they get takeaways. Linebacker kind of healthy this week. In the secondary, Stevenson's going to be out, but Wright just pretty much slides into that. You got Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon. The Bears have had some struggle in the passing game. I think the run defense is a little better. Said getting somewhat healthy in the linebacker room, but Jordan Love gets Jaden Reed back. So now you have Jaden Reed, you have Christian Watson, you have Romeo Doubs, some other pieces there in the wide receiver room as well. But those 3 guys, those are his 3 main guys that we've seen and him have success. So I'm fine with a double Jordan Love stack, right? Obviously, Tucker Kraft's not there. The tight end room has not been good. A lot of people like Josh Jacobs this week. If you want to get leverage on people liking Josh Jacobs, then you attack the pass game. You go for Jordan Love. You put him with the Jaden Reed and a Christian Watson, or Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. Whatever you want to do, I'm fine with getting a Jordan Love double stack. Baker at 5,800 is interesting as well. I like Bucky Irving this week. But for that same reason, I like someone like a Baker Mayfield as well. He's getting his pieces back. Evans and McMillan have already been ruled out. You still have Ibuka. Godwin, you're slowly getting Godwin. That connection is very close. There were a couple opportunities in the game against Arizona where Baker and Godwin could have had one of them was a clear-cut touchdown. But there were a couple other opportunities. So now you get Godwin and Baker starting to build the chemistry this season. Obviously, every year is different. But Bucky is getting healthy. The offensive line is getting healthier, right? They've been healthy, but we haven't seen a lot of them on the injury report. But as Baker gets his weapons back in Evans, McMillan, and there's different ways to use this offense, like Tez Johnson's still there. Sterling Shepard's been used in scenarios. Kate Otten. Then, yeah, I'm okay with getting a cheaper Baker Mayfield. Like, this is crazy, too. This is where Baker Mayfield got up to, right? 6,600, just staying there. 64, 62, 61, 59. Now he's 58. I mean, against the Saints at home, where Tampa's got to continue to win games, Carolina's right behind them. to where I like this offense. I like Baker Mayfield in the offense. I think it's doable. The pieces are cheap for Tampa Bay when you consider the upside that they have. So I'm fine with Baker Mayfield. Sam Darnold at 5,500. I like him. I think it's a really good spot for a bounce back game for Sam Darnold. Obviously, the game against Minnesota, it's not that Sam Darnold even played bad. He just didn't need to play. Their defense did what their defense has done some of these games this season, where you look at a game against New Orleans. I mean, Darnold pretty much did nothing in the second half in that game. They had a really good first half. You go the game against Arizona, same thing. Darnold doesn't do much. Their defense is just really good. They run the ball. Like, now you get an Atlanta team to where Atlanta has potential, but against the Seahawks defense, it's just tough. At 5,500, though, I like Sam Darnold. I think it's very easy for Sam Darnold to throw 2 touchdowns, 150 yards in this game. And, it doesn't smash. Like, he's not going to get 30 plus, but 15 to 20, I think it's very realistic at that price point. So, definitely like him. I will say this for tournaments. I'm going to say this for tournaments. So, just bear with me, please. J.J. McCarthy, 4,700. At home against Washington. I really like Jaden Daniels this week. Washington's defense is still not that good. Like, you look at some of the defenses JJ's faced, I can maybe cut some slack. I can maybe face a Green Bay defense, a Chicago defense again, which he looked bad in this game. He looked bad for 3 quarters in this game. A Detroit defense, a Baltimore defense, who, like I said, it's just Baltimore's defense had a lot of good opponents to start and then some bad opponents. For 4,700, though, we're getting J.J. McCarthy, the cheapest we've gotten him all season. Justin Jefferson is cheap, too. Like, the stack is crazy. I think there's some upside this week. I like the Minnesota-Washington game. I think there's some upside. JJ's got to play good. He's just got to get the ball to the other JJ. But for the price point, I like it. So, moving on to the running back position. Devon Achane's in a really, really good spot. On the road against the Jets. Just saw Bijan kind of go off on him. Achane's been solid. Just got no receiving work in that game. The issue with Miami is not Achane. Ollie Gordon's gotten some volume. Jalen Wright's gotten some as well. The passing game has just been so bad for Miami to where you're not seeing Achane's true potential because of the pass game being so bad. So at 8,800, he's expensive, which is why he's going to be tough to play this week. But for that aspect, I like him. When you consider a James Cook here is where a lot of people are going to play. Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Chase Brown in this tier as well. There's not a lot of value at the running back position, which is why it's tough to play in Achane. But for the upside in this matchup, where, like I said, we just saw Bijan go off against the Jets, I'm okay with Achane this week. So definitely like him. Kyren at 66. Kyren is one of those guys. It's all depending on how the pass game is in the red zone. If Kyren's able to get a touchdown, he's able to get you, more than 15 carries, which has been kind of tough because Blake Corum. Then, yeah, we have potential for a Kyren Williams in this one. So, it's just Blake Corum. Blake Corum's got an extended role, which is why Kyren's not in cash consideration. But yet again, to what I was talking about in Stafford, there's just so many injuries for the Cardinals. There could be a scenario where the Rams get a 2 or 3 score lead very early on, and it's the Kyren and Blake Corum show the rest of the way. So for that aspect, I like Kyren. I do. Breece Hall, 6,500 at home against Miami. Kind of the same thing. Breece Hall's just been a consistent piece for the Jets. He's been used in the receiving game with Tyrod. Obviously on the ground. Now, do I love the Jets' offensive line against Miami's defensive line? Maybe not. But if you're going to find some fantasy points on the Jets side, Miami's just been pretty good against quarterbacks and wide receivers, and that's just because they're bad against the run. They just truly are. So I like Breece Hall. I really do. I'll continue to go down. I mentioned some of these names. like a Jordan Mason without Aaron Jones, but Jones is in. Harvey, Ken Walker. Like, I think in this game against Atlanta, you should either like the passing game or the run game. You should either attack Sam Darnold and JSN, or you should attack Ken Walker. I think that's kind of the way to go. Going down, though, this is where I find a value piece. It's 5,100 Devin Neal. I talked about him last week at 5K. Got you 9.9 against Miami. He's up $100 against Tampa Bay, to where Tampa plays good against the run, but that's not where you're going to see what you're hoping is a ceiling game for Devin Neal. They play bad against running backs in the receiving game. That's where Devin Neal can kind of get you a good amount of fantasy points in this one. So at 5,100, when we're trying to find some value on the slate, because there's not truly a lot down here, I like it. Like you know, we could go with cheap Arizona running back, and we could talk about like a Bam Knight against the Rams, but I don't like it. We could talk about like a Chris Rodriguez Jr. 4,700 with Jane Daniels, but like it's Devin Neal is the only starter with a good matchup down here. So at 5,100, that's kind of where I'm at. Moving on to wide receiver, where I said in the cash video, I don't think you need any of these guys up here. I think if you want to prioritize, you know, a Josh Allen, a Matt Stafford, a Lamar, in, I guess, tournaments, but paying up for running back for sure. Tight end, you don't need to pay up for either. And there's a lot of good, when I say payouts for defense, like defenses are cheap, so you're getting a discount on them. But typically, I don't like spending the high 3K range of defenses. You can on this slate. So I don't think you need any of these options, but they're likable. So Jason against Atlanta, it's for a guy that just got 4.3 in a game where he didn't need to be used against Atlanta, where we just saw Anaheim Mitchell go off. I love JSN. I think it's a good matchup for him. Puka, mention him. Jamar Chase, mention him in cash. Devontae Adams, like, yeah, at this point, I'm willing to take Devontae Adams in a tournament line than Puka. I mean, for being the cheaper wide receiver with the 2 touchdown upside, I mean, he's getting receiving work. He's not getting, you know, these games, but like these are the more consistent games. 5 for 60, 5 for 62, 6 for 77, 5 for 35, but 3 touchdowns. Like, that's kind of more realistic for Devontae Adams. Justin Jefferson, 6,900. So when I talked about JJ McCarthy, you get Justin Jefferson at 6,900. I would love to see the data to where Justin Jefferson, the last time he was this price. This is by far the worst season Justin Jefferson's had, and it's not his fault. And I apologize if you invested into Justin Jefferson in your fantasy leagues, because, man, this has got to be tough. This is tough. Looking at all these stat lines for Justin Jefferson, but he has potential. I like the game script for the JJs, McCarthy and Jefferson, and it's a very cheap stack when you consider the upside for a receiver like Justin Jefferson. So definitely like that. Mekabuka kind of going down in price. We saw him go up to the 7K range, went down to 67, then 65, now he's 63, and that's because he's put up 3 stinkers. Like, it's just stinkers. But the one thing I will say, look at the targets. Look at the targets that Emeka Ibuka's gotten all season. The last 5, 6 games, like 8, 9, 13, 9, 12. The targets are there. The yardage will come. The touchdowns will come. So for a guy that's getting 8+ targets a game at 6,300 in a positive game script against New Orleans, then yeah, I do like taking a chance on Emeka Ibuka. I think he's a good stackable option. T. Higgins against Buffalo, yeah, he's way cheaper. He's 2K cheaper than Jamar Chase. So if you want to pair him up with Burrow, go for it. I'm not as in love with it, but I understand. Continue to go down. Jacoby Myers, I think, is in a very good spot at 5,700. The difference is people are going to click Michael Wilson for $100 cheaper. So if you want to get a leverage, pay up $100 for Jacoby Myers. And I mentioned them, the Denver wide receivers, 56, 55, Sutton, and Franklin. Godwin, 53. I mean, last week, 3 for 78. Like I said, he should have had a touchdown in that game too. So if you want to add on another 7 points to him at 5K, smashes. So at 53, willing to take a shot on him in tournaments. Green Bay, I mentioned Christian Watson yesterday. And when I did that, that was before, obviously, the news broke that Jaden Reed is going to play. So Jaden Reed at 4,200. I like when I talked about Jordan Love, I'm fine with getting exposure to the Green Bay wide receivers. It's just you have to be cautious and be okay knowing you might have picked the wrong wide receiver. That's just how it is in Green Bay. When those three guys are there, and you want to throw Dontavian Wicks into the picture, and now you want to throw Matthew Golden into the picture, just have fun trying to decide which guy is going to hit that peak, that ceiling, that game. So, Jordan Addison at 4,900. Like I said, it's just so cheap to stack Minnesota in this game. Really like the Washington-Minnesota game. Has potential. So, like that one. Continue to go down. DJ Moore is kind of interesting at 48 without Rome being there. I think more people are going to go towards Luther Burden for $1,000 cheaper. So, if you want leverage over, I guess where people are going to tend to go to, like more people are going to tend to go to Luther Burden. DJ Moore's 4,800, so it's still cheap for a guy that's getting paid $20+ million a year. It really is. Mentioned these guys yesterday, but just in case, I prefer John Mechie over Mitchell for $100 cheaper. Just gonna say it. DK, I mean, plays good against man coverage against Cleveland. You're not going to be able to run the ball against Cleveland, or you shouldn't. I will say you shouldn't be able to run the ball against Cleveland. Doesn't mean that we might see Tennessee somehow have a really good run game, but you shouldn't be able to run the ball against Cleveland. So 4,500 DK, sure. Put him in there, sure. Continue to go down. Like I mentioned, Luther Burden, 3,800. Just without Rome, he's going to get on the field a lot more. So looking at that, fine with that. Vele I mentioned in cash. I don't think we got more Olave news. I think he's still dealing with the back issues. So if Olave's in, then Vele kind of goes more towards a tournament play. So fine with getting something like that. I will go down here. Calvin Austin at 3,400. Put up some stinkers lately. But yet again, you look at some of the opponents. Mason Rudolph against the Bears. Playing the Bills defense, which is... You go and look at their numbers. They played really good against wide receivers. But I think the game that stands out is obviously the game against Cincinnati. But the run game was just so dominant for him in that one. But now we get Baltimore on the road. I'm okay with getting Calvin Austin at his price point, 3,400. Do I love it? No. But for 3,400 for a guy that's going to get on the field a lot for Pittsburgh, doesn't mean he's going to get a lot of volume. But the matchup is just good versus Baltimore. So I'm okay with getting a punt there. So I'm fine with that. Tight end. Going to tight end with the injuries to Arizona. Like, yeah, people aren't going to click Trey McBride at 8K. They're not. For a guy that was down to 56, 58, 55, 57, 6, 63, 68, 78, 8K. I mean, it's hard to play him. No one's really going to play Trey McBride. It's just really hard to get Trey McBride in your lineup this week. But that's why in tournaments it makes sense, right? People aren't going to play him. You play him. Continue to go down. Zach Ertz. If you want to pair Zach Ertz with Jaden Daniels, it makes sense. You look at just the history of Zach Ertz and Jaden Daniels between the games they played this season and going back to last season. They had a really good connection, so getting Zach Ertz at 4,500 makes a lot of sense to me. Mark Andrews, 4,100. He fits in a strange tier because you have Kyle Pitts for $100 more, Juwan Johnson and Brenton Strange, who are $200 cheaper. Like this tier of tight end I love. So Mark Andrews, 4,100, just got paid, facing a defense that's been pretty bad against tight ends all season. Like it. Darren Waller, yet again, him as well, 3,800. 2 for 47 at 3,900. Goes down 100 in a positive game script again. So fine with getting Darren Waller in lineups. And then I'd like to say I mentioned Mason Taylor, but just in case I didn't, against Miami kind of fits in a really good role where I think you're going to see Miami kind of prioritize slowing down Mechie and Mitchell because if you combine them both the last few weeks, they've had some good games. So I think Mason Taylor kind of makes sense. I think with how the Jets' offense has looked the last few weeks, he should fly under the radar a little bit. So 3,300 like that. Colston Loveland at 3,200 I think makes sense against Green Bay. Green Bay has played tight ends pretty good. I will give them that. But when you think of Luther or Rome Odunze being out and kind of Zacchaeus Burden and DJ Moore, it makes sense for someone like Colston Loveland to get on the field more, seeing some more two tight end sets with Cole Kmet. So at 3,200 with the upside that we know Loveland has, I'm fine with that. Parkinson, I'll continue to mention Parkinson. I think he's a solid price. The matchup is good against Arizona. Obviously, the volume, like you have Devontae Adams, you have Puka, you have Kyron. It makes sense of why Kobe's down here, but he's put up some solid games. Like at his price points, these are some damn good games. He's only 3,100, so it's not as much of a love, but it's still worth throwing out. And then yet again, said this, but we haven't got a true update. If Kincaid's out, Dawson Knox 2,800. So, defenses same as always. Just go with what you want. Let's do a GPP build for you guys. So let's go Browns. I'm gonna go disgusting here for you guys. I'm gonna build a JJ McCarthy lineup because why not? With Justin Jefferson because why not? And since we have that, at running back, I want to get exposure to a Ram. So let's get a Kyron. And then we're going to pay down a little bit here. Let's go a Devin Neal at 5,100. Let's solve our tight end and see where we want to go with that. So let's throw Zach Ertz as our run back piece. I'm fine with that. And then we go to wide receiver. Going through some of the names. Let's go with a Emeka Egbuka and see what we could do with the other two. 6,100. Let's go cheaper because I know we can. What is Mitch? No, I don't want to go Mitch again. Let's go with a... Let's go with the Jacoby Myers against Indy. So 65, so we can then get a Breece Hall and do something like that. So, yet again, totally a tournament line. This is a balanced build, right? Like, no true superstar, high-priced guys in there. Kind of just a mixed build saying that, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. Like, kind of hoping for something like that. Obviously, you want a higher ceiling. This is a tournament. But just an example, just going off of Justin Jefferson, J.J. McCarthy, Jacoby Myers in that game. Zach Ertz is a run back piece for the Washington, Minnesota. Hoping Devin Neal gets some receiving works, and Kyron is just the guy that gets you 30 points because the Rams want to run the ball instead of pass the ball. So, hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a good DFS Week 14 slate. I'll see you guys in the next one.